evening, we bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And we bring you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Jet Manuel. And in tonight's game plan, we'll break down Mike Nieto's big PBA debut and more exciting storylines in tonight's edition of PBA Rundown with Larry Fonacher.
We'll also talk about the blockbuster moves and the biggest winners of the 2022 NBA trade deadline. And we'll get updates from the Winter Olympics as lone Filipino Asa Miller looks ahead to his next competition in the Slalom. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. The PBA is back, and we can't wait to go over the storyline that transpired over the returning weekend. Three-time UAAP champion Mike Nieto made his debut for the Rain and Shine Elastic Painters and proceeded to make it rain with 4 3-pointers, finishing with 21 points. Things are looking good for the former Gilas captain, who also saw his brother Matt play his first game in the pros. Here to help us break down Mike Nieto's promising PBA debut and more developing storylines is 7-time PBA champ Larry Fonacher. Larry, it's great that tapos na yung Christmas sa bahay nyo. The Christmas tree is gone, but we're happy to have you here. Oh, Valentine's kayo eh, pero walang puso. I don't want to ask why. But Larry, let's get started here. See the Nieto brothers doing very well, and you want to start off, of course, with the former Gilas captain, si Mike. Your thoughts on his debut?
Very impressive, Pao, but I wouldn't say surprising. I mean, this guy has been trained as a point guard and shooting guard in Gilas. No, I was talking to his brother Matt kanina, and he told me these things. So parang for people, I guess, parang for Matt, you know, he's kind of underrated, playing under 30 and maybe behind Matt in Ateneo. But you know, he took advantage of Reynam Batak's injury, just being the starting lineup and just proving that he's PBA ready. And you know, Matt has always had great leadership skills, and you know, he's never afraid of opportunities and the big moments. And you know, he doesn't play his size.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see him play, he feels like he can really compete against anyone. And Matt also told me that Mike had a great preparation during the pause of the PBA. So it's not surprising for me that he performed this way in his very first game in the PBA.
Okay, Larry, you mentioned that we were all impressed by his performance, but let's break it down on what aspects of his game that you saw in this debut that impressed you or made you say na PBA ready na talaga tong batang na to.
Well, I didn't really see the game, but just looking at his stats, for a player to score 21 points and 8 rebounds in his first game in the PBA, I guess that guy was not thinking of himself as a rookie. And, you know, he just went out there playing with all his heart, his IQ, and just his great training from the Gilas system. And being a shooting guard, actually Coach Chris Gavina as a shooting guard, not his natural position, but really excelling in it. So really, I'm really impressed by Mike, and you know, I'm glad that he's showing this in the PBA.
Larry, alam mo si Mike actually has a lot of haters from on social media from his time in Gilas, even from his time in Ateneo. But this kind of showed that, you know, the hate was unjustified because of his performance. Your thought about him answering yung mga critics niya that probably did not feel that he belongs sa level na to?
I'm sure Matt is smart and, you know, mentally tough enough not to mind those critics. I mean, like I said kanina, the way he handles himself off the court and on the court, he doesn't really care. He doesn't really care how, you know, he's undersized or there's an advantage against him. The way he plays, for him also, I don't think he's also conscious about his stats. I mean, he's always been a winner, just trying to play his role and just helping his team win. And I know him from the stories of him being a natural leader. And, you know, those critics, I mean, that won't bother him one bit.
There's something about the Nieto brothers that really, you know, parang it's surprising, but in the same way, like you mentioned, it's expected somewhat from how they perform on the court when you get to watch them play. But, you know, moving forward naman, you know, from his debut, and now talk about imports. There are two imports that that we have right now that are undefeated in the PBA right now. That's Tony Bishop and Mike Harris. What do you see from, let's start from Tony Bishop. What makes him so special and what makes him, help a team stay undefeated at this point of the season?
Well, first of all, it's impressive how Coach Norman made this call, finding this guy and passing on Alan Durham. No? I mean, a really proven winner and many-time best import in the PBA. Finding this guy, Tony Bishop. I don't know if he's more of a deadlier scorer or a better shooter than Alan Durham, but this guy obviously looks like a keeper for Meralco, and this guy looks like he can take Meralco all the way. And he's just deadly with his offensive game, all-around game. Really impressive for Coach Norman to find a guy like this. And, just making everyone better and really difficult to guard for the whole league.
Well, see, Tony Bishop, I had the pleasure to call his game the other day, and it feels like swak na swak siya sa sistema ni Coach Norman Because even if Coach Norman says that their half-court sets aren't really ready yet, and that's why they're running more, it feels like he can adapt to any situation that Coach Norman puts him in. Do you feel that yung versatility na yun will be one of the reasons why they end up going all the way?
Definitely, Pao. I know Coach Norman played under him, and he really makes it a point to put the imports in a really good position. And siguro his experience abroad, playing in Europe also. I mean, all those systems there that you play there and succeed there. I mean, you can throw any system to this guy and he will adapt, and that's just how good a player he is.
Yeah.
Definitely. But moving forward naman to another undefeated PBA import, Mike Harris has really been impressive in the league right now. What makes him fit in his system naman when you see him play?
Very impressive, not just I read that Coach Chito chose performance over age. No, I mean for him to pick a 38-year-old guy drops 40 and 18 versus TNT. I mean, this guy's been a winner in Alaska. I mean, it could have gone either way. Alaska would have won the championship with Mike Harris, and obviously this guy's their anchor, their rock underneath, and he makes everyone better. And a great person also, and obviously looks like the players love playing with him. And he's been a winner, and Coach Chito has been really good at picking the right imports for his team. And again, like Meralco, this guy looks like a keeper, and it looks like he can take this team all the way to the finals too.
Age is just a number, diba, Larry?
Tell that to Asi. Tell that to Asi.
Nadamay pa si Asi dito.
Nanginimik lang si Asi. Okay. He's not doing anything right now. Pero let's now move on to, unfortunately, injuries throughout the league right now. So I think Larry's having a hard time hearing us kasi, I don't know, when we okay na.
Good.
All right, good. Kasi we mentioned age, biglang namatay yung AirPods niya. When we talk about injuries this time, kasi syempre, unfortunately, there are a few. I'm gonna list them down here. Our Pogoy with a strained calf, Poy Eram with a lower back issue, Calvin Octana, fractured left hand, Tony Semerad with a calf injury. And actually, just today, there's reports that si Onwubere of Ginebra will also be out for the conference. We're going to get updates on that. But Larry, unfortunate, but then how do you think teams will adapt to these pieces? The names you mentioned are all contributors to their respective teams.
Yeah, Pao, definitely major players getting hurt at a crucial part of the season, and it has its effects obviously on TNT, and I think especially for NLEX. I mean, those are two guys, Oftana and Tony, that I see every day in practice. They can't afford to lose at this point, no. So, ang hirap, no, for them to lose these kinds of players. I wish for their quick recovery, and hopefully no one gets injured. But it's a chance for other players to step up, and it is what it is. But it's a time for other players to step up and help their team.
Again, that's right. Perfect moment for other people to step up in their steads, and hopefully, we might be talking about breakout players next time around. Pero thanks for that, Larry. We're not done with you yet, though, because after the break, we'll discuss the biggest winners of the 2022 NBA trade deadline and how it affects the playoff races heading into the playoffs. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
welcome back to the game. We are a couple of days past the NBA trade deadline and some moves still have NBA fans reeling. Some are jumping up for joy and others are, well, shaking their heads in disbelief. And tonight, 7-time PBA champ Larry Fonasher still joins us to talk about the biggest winners of the deadline. Welcome back, Larry.
Welcome back. Hindi nga siya umalis eh.
Hindi nga, welcome back nga sa segment na to, di ba? Baka pinaalis na natin after talking about his age eh. Pero we're way past that now.
No, we were talking about, let's be fair, we were talking about Asi's age. And again, he's not doing anything right now, and here we are talking about him.
Well, moving forward, okay, the NBA naman, Larry. Okay, so of course, the NBA trades have been, on everybody's mind right now. And the biggest thing, or the biggest trade that everybody is talking about is the Nets and 76ers trade. Brooklyn receives Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks, while the 76ers receive James Harden and Paul Millsap. What are your general thoughts on that trade of that magnitude of a trade?
Jet Pao, I think both teams won that trade, disposing of two not a problematic or disgruntled stars, no, but really talented, no. I think both won also depending on the time frame. Okay, the Sixers can win now with pairing Harden with Embiid. Definitely superpower, very difficult to stop offensively. But I think there are going to be questions in the future with Harden's history of bailing out on teams when things don't go well. And for the Nets, I think they can also win now.
Yeah.
And especially when you have someone in KD on your team, you can always win. And with the pieces that they've got, with the 2 first-rounders and Seth Curry, Andre Drummond providing stability in their position, but it gives them insurance also for Harden's departure, maybe Kyrie in the future. Who knows?
Yeah. I actually have a thought here. I don't know if you would agree with me, Larry, but I actually believe that both these teams got better after this trade and are now even stronger contenders in the East. Do you agree with yung idea na yun?
I agree, Pao. And these two guys, Harden and Simmons, in new environments that they are highly motivated, and when they're really healthy, it's gonna be scary for the East. And mas nahirapan lang yung road ng Milwaukee, Miami, and probably Cleveland because of these 2 moves.
I mean, yun nga, I wanted to touch on that, Larry. You mentioned Milwaukee, Cleveland, and of course, Miami Heat. These guys were favorites. They were favorites until this point of the season. And now with this trade, you see the Nets and the 76ers. Do you think mas lamang na sila sa Milwaukee? Mas lamang na sila sa Miami Heat?
Ooh.
Or is it still the same? The kings of the East are still Miami and Milwaukee?
Ang hirap man ng tanong mo, Jet.
Ang hirap, Jet, no? And ang kagandahan ng NBA, pare, no? These trade deadlines, these moves in the that the NBA's nangyayari sa NBA, it really makes it very interesting for the season. Now it looks like you're talking more about the East than the West. In the past, parang it's always the West na we're talking about, but now the East, if you see the standings, it's really competitive from first to ninth
Ninth
place.
or 10th,
yeah. So very interesting and exciting race ahead for all of us, for all the fans.
Yeah, you look at all of the trades here, and syempre, it's really interesting to see where the Nets are going from this point on, in particular. Kasi si Kyrie Irving is only eligible to play in 8 more games for the remainder of the season. Sa palagay mo ba that having Ben Simmons there, and the rest of the guards that they brought in, Seth Curry can also play the guard position, do you think that will cushion the blow for the Nets enough for them to be in a great position going into the playoffs?
The question is, when is Simmons going to play? I mean, I've been reading it's still unclear when he's going to play. Now, Kyrie only has 8 games remaining, and there's some urgency for the Nets, and they're in danger of actually missing the whole thing. I mean, they have to have some urgency at this point. I mean, it's good to have Simmons right there, but the question is, when is he going to play? Is he healthy enough?
I have another question for you, Larry. So, si Simmons, is he even going to play guard? Because people are saying he could be a 4 or a 5.
Ooh.
Very interesting.
Very
interesting.
Dapat ako yung all-star writer dito, hindi si Jet.
Hindi ako. Kasagutin ko to. Larry, di ba? Would you agree?
I know.
Di ba?
Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni there. You know what Mike D'Antoni did with his Houston team, going small completely. So who knows? I mean, with him there, him revolutionizing the small ball game. It's not surprising if they put Simmons in the 4 or even 5.
Yeah, I can completely see that also. Pero Jet wants to talk about another team.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. So this is an interesting team. They were playing great throughout the season up to this point, but now they get Karis LeVert for Ricky Rubio and future draft picks. How dangerous now does this make the Cavs in the East?
Oh, actually, this is my favorite movie. This is my
Wow,
favorite team.
okay.
To be honest, no. Just looking at them, how they've overachieved. They're projected to win only 27 games, and now they're just destroying this small ball revolution, just going super big, but flexible and mobile at the same time. No, so I love how they're going old school, but really they also have other pieces to play small also and very versatile. Imagine Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, Markkanen, Garland, Okoro, Love, LeVert, Osman. Imagine if Colin Sexton was there. I mean, how scary would this team be? Diba?
Grabe.
You know, actually looking at that, syempre, if you look at the move, remember that Ricky Rubio was actually out for the season. So they were selling his contract and giving picks to buy essentially Karis LeVert. And with that move in particular, it feels like medyo win now move to para sa Cleveland. Do you feel that that's a team that we also have to consider as a championship contender right now, given the way nakakonstruct yung roster nila?
I feel they've signified their intentions of winning it now by getting LeVert. And I don't know if they gave up a lot for LeVert, but wow, that was such a great pickup. I don't think they lost a lot for getting him, but with their lineup, well, maybe the question is their youth lang, no? And maybe they haven't been in that deep in the playoffs since LeBron's time. No? So it will be interesting for them to see how far they would go. But definitely they have the pieces to contend and give these contenders, Miami, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Boston, Toronto, really a hard time in the playoffs.
And then we move on from winners to losers naman. Quote-unquote losers. Yeah, I can't say losers because we're going to talk about the Lakers. So you can't say that they are losers, Larry, on this show. Okay, but they failed to make a move at this point in the trade deadline despite their 26-31 record. They're 9th seed, but you think is this a wrap for their season? Did they pass up on opportunities to get them off that hump, or are they still contenders?
Hindi, hater lang si Jet.
Hindi, nakatingin talaga ako kay
Okay, I have to change my script now because kung ganun pa rin yung rule dito na you can't speak negatively about Lakers, I might get in trouble. No. But realistically, when I don't know, look at the Lakers, do they really have options to make a good move at this time? I mean, are they stuck with their lineup? Obviously, we will never doubt LeBron James' capability. I mean, it's very dangerous to face LeBron in the playoffs, no matter what seed they're coming in. But it's probably also a matter of, I don't know if other teams didn't also want to help the Lakers, make a deal with them. I don't know, just thinking about that. How would you want to help LeBron? How would you want to help the Lakers? They're the defending champs and kind of want to avoid a deal with them. But realistically, their lineup, the construction of their lineup, I don't know, their salary cap, they had the chance to get DeMar DeRozan over Westbrook, and I guess that was the best move they could have done before the season.
Yeah. Well, alam mo, there were actually reports about the potential move of Westbrook. Had he been moved, it would have been for John Wall and maybe a couple of other assets. But then again, it did not happen, and we would never have known whether or not Wall would have been an upgrade in terms of fit and in terms of everything that's going to happen. But we actually have two other teams to mention here. But then since we're running out of time, when you look at the Mavericks and the Trailblazers, do you think that the deadline left them as quote-unquote losers in this particular in that particular day, trade deadline day, or do you feel that right now it's just a matter of them reshuffling because they weren't even going to contend this year anyway?
I think they weren't even gonna contend this year. I mean, realistically, look at their lineup. I think they're still stuck in for Portland, just kind of like a team that will make the playoffs, but really will not get that far. For Dallas, I mean, as good as Luka Doncic is, I don't think they'll still get far in the playoffs with this lineup. So I don't know if they couldn't get a better. I felt like for Dallas, they could have gotten more out of Porzingis now, but I guess teams didn't, were afraid of his durability also, and Dallas just wanted to move on from him.
Well,
Obviously, yeah, go ahead, Jet.
No, he was going to stop you. He was going to say goodbye to you,
No,
He wants you out of here,
Hindi.
Larry.
Of course not.
Go ahead,
Sabi niya kasi loser yung Lakers eh.
Hindi. I don't know. Alam mo,
never
Larry, I
said
don't know
that.
what's wrong with this guy. He's been gone for such a long time.
You know, I was gonna say that I want Larry back on the show in person.
Okay,
para mas
sige.
maganda yung usapan natin.
Sige.
But again, Larry, thank you so much for joining us tonight from the PBA now to the NBA. It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you, Jet. Thank you,
He's
Pao.
such a liar.
Looking forward to the future.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you. After the break, we'll get updates from the Winter Olympics as lone Filipino Asa Miller looks ahead to competing in slalom on Wednesday. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. And you're watching The Game. Time for updates from the icy slopes of the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics. Lone Filipino athlete Asa Miller competed in her first event, the Super G, over the weekend. After the competition, Miller posted a message on his personal social media account saying how tough the sport is and he looks forward to slaying his next event in the slalom. Miller is looking to wrap his Olympic stint on a high note as he competes on Wednesday, February 16th, and the event starts at 10 p.m. You can catch that live on One Sports, One Sports Plus, and the Signal Winter Olympics channels. And on to more Winter Olympics news. Team USA brings home 2 pieces of hardware from the Mono Bob as Kaylee Humphries and Elena Myers-Taylor win gold and silver respectively. And meanwhile, France wins the gold in ice dance figure skating after 2 decades, courtesy of the tandem of Papadakis and Cizeron. And as of 4 p.m. today, here's how the medal tally looks. Norway leads the way, followed by Germany, and USA jumps to 3rd place after their medals from the monobob, while France rises to 9th after their win in figure skating. And for more on the 2022...
Pare, wait lang. Happy Valentine's
Anak
Day,
na.
Pare, welcome back to the show.
Anak ng bush.
Alam ko, I know you're getting married soon, kaya we had to give this to you before you got married.
Sino may pakulon?
Oo.
Sino may pakulon?
So... Uy, masisira!
Ay, naku. Tutuloy ko ba ito?
Tuloy mo muna.
For more on the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, catch the games on One Sports Plus, and on the Beijing Winter Olympics channel via Signal Channel 198 SD and 298 HD. Happy Valentine's, everybody except Paulo Del Rosario. And thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jet Manuel.
Grabe, kinilig oh. Wild. Catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. I'm Paulo Del Rosario, and this has been The Game.
Naisahan mo ako doon.